CaitlinClark has just flipped the WNBA world on its head with one bold statement that has every corner of the league buzzing, especially after the IndianaFever's monumental Commissioner's Cup win. In a move that felt more like a mic drop moment than a post-game comment, Clark went straight for the jugular, declaring that every team in the league is sick over their success. That wasn't just competitive fire speaking. It was calculated, intentional, and brutally honest. Gone are the days of Clark playing nice or pretending there's harmony behind the scenes. This was her throwing down the gauntlet, and whether fans agree or not, nobody in the league can ignore it. She said what so many suspected but were too scared to voice. The WNBA's power dynamics are shifting, and the old guard isn't happy about it. Her exact words? That she knows everyone in the league is sick over the Fever's rise. Not just annoyed, not just surprised, but sick. That's not a word you use lightly. That's a word reserved for people who can't stomach seeing you win. Clark delivered that line like a veteran who's been through the wars, not someone just in her second season. And here's the kicker. She said it right after winning. Not during a losing streak, not in a heated press conference, but from a position of strength. That's what made it hit so hard. Everyone else was left scrambling, trying to spin it or dismiss it. But deep down, they knew it rang true. Clark didn't let the league push her narrative. She grabbed control of the story and made it clear. The IndianaFever are no longer the WNBA's underdogs. They're contenders, and they're tired of pretending otherwise. This isn't about ego. It's about calling out the unspoken truths that have been simmering all season. Clark's taken flagrant fouls. She's been the target of cheap shots. She's seen players celebrating when she hits the floor instead of the basket. The referees have looked the other way. The veterans have stayed silent. And through it all, Clark kept her cool until now. This time, she let the league know that she sees the game within the game. This wasn't just posturing. It was a strategic move straight out of the psychological warfare playbook. By saying what everyone else was too afraid to admit, Clark changed the tone of the season. She created an us versus them mentality that championship teams thrive on. It's the same formula that Jose Mourinho used to dominate European football. Create a siege mentality, make your team believe the world is against them, and watch them go to war for each other. That's exactly what Clark just did for Indiana. She lit the match, and now the Fever have a fire that's bigger than basketball. Clark's statement wasn't spontaneous. It was a masterclass in timing. She waited until her team held the Commissioner's Cup before speaking up. That's when her words couldn't be brushed off as bitterness. She had receipts. She had results. And she had the stage. What's even more brilliant is how this changes the narrative. Remember when Sophie Cunningham tried to say teams were afraid of Indiana? People laughed it off. They said it was delusional. But when Clark says it, it's gospel. That's the difference star power makes. When you're backing your words with wins, nobody can dismiss you. Clark didn't just make a bold claim. She forced the league to respond. Now every team is in a lose-lose situation. If they deny feeling salty about the Fever's rise, they look disingenuous. If they admit it, they validate everything Clark said. Either way, she wins. She owns the narrative now. That's not just good PR, it's elite-level leadership. What Clark really did was provide her team with something priceless: unity. She's telling her teammates that the league wants them to fail, so they'd better link arms and fight back. That kind of rallying cry strengthens chemistry and builds grit. From now on, every elbow thrown, every hard foul, every sketchy call becomes more than just a moment. It becomes evidence that Clark was right. And that makes every game personal. Even the Fever's inconsistencies, like motion offense hiccups or late game collapses, suddenly matter less. Why? Because they now have something intangible but powerful: mental edge. Teams can't sneak attack Indiana anymore. Clark already called out the dirty tactics. If opponents want to keep playing that way, they're doing it on record now. That transparency strips them of surprise and forces them to confront their own behavior. And make no mistake, This isn't just fire for the moment, it's a long-term strategy. Clark's matured fast. A rookie would have bitten their tongue, tried to win people over with kindness. But Clark's figured it out. Some people are never going to clap for you, no matter how well you play. So why bother pretending? Instead, she's embracing the role of the villain and doing it with confidence. It's the kind of mentality that separates the good from the great. Mourinho's teams didn't just win, they crushed dreams. Why? Because they leaned into the hate. They used it. That's where the Fever are headed now. They're done trying to be liked. They're focused on being feared. And with Clark leading the way, they've got the swagger to pull it off. The league veterans aren't going to love this. They've spent years cultivating the WNBA as a league of sisterhood, unity, mutual respect. Clark just smashed that illusion. She peeled back the curtain and said out loud what's been visible on court all season long. These aren't friendly rivalries. They're real grudges. And you know what? That's exactly what fans want. Real tension, real drama, not manufactured storylines. Hollywood buzzing knows fans aren't tuning in for kumbaya moments. They want fire, grit, rivalry. Clark just delivered all that in a single quote. And now the financial ripple effect begins. Teams that lean into the villain role don't lose fans. They gain diehards. Think Fever versus. Everyone on t-shirts. Think sold-out crowds. Think merch flying off the shelves. This is marketing gold. Clark didn't just fire up her locker room. She handed the Fever brand an identity that could carry them for years. On top of that, the coaching staff just got an unexpected win. Clark's words took the motivational burden off their shoulders. They no longer need to hype the team up before games. She did it in one post-game speech. Stephanie White and her staff can now focus purely on execution, knowing the emotional engine is already running at full speed. Young players will study this moment. International stars are watching. They'll see how Clark took adversity and flipped it into fuel, how she didn't back down or play politics. She confronted the situation head-on and came out stronger. And the veterans, they've been put on notice. They can't pretend anymore. They can't gaslight their way out of their on-court behavior. Clark saw it. She called it. And now the whole world is watching. Even referees are going to feel the pressure. Clark's awareness of unfair treatment has been broadcast loud and clear. With the spotlight on officiating, expect tighter, more balanced calls going forward. That's the power of speaking up from a position of success. CaitlinClark just forced the WNBA to take a long, hard look in the mirror. She didn't cry about mistreatment during the low points. She waited until the Fever climbed the mountain and then told the world exactly what it took to get there. That's what makes this moment so unshakable. There's no spin that can soften it. The IndianaFever were supposed to stay quiet, struggle, and slowly work their way up the ladder. Instead, they grabbed a trophy and called out the league for trying to hold them down. This is bigger than basketball. It's a cultural reset within the sport. Clark might be the most divisive star the league has seen in years, but she's also becoming one of its most important. Fans love realness, and Clark's brand of honesty, whether you agree with her or not, is setting a new tone for how superstars carry themselves in the W. As for the rest of the season, one thing's for sure. Nobody's going to take it easy on the Fever now. But that's exactly the point. Clark doesn't want easy. She wants wins that silence the hate. And judging by the way she just lit up the league, she's got plenty more statements to make, on and off the court. What do you think of her truth bomb? Was it overdue honesty or a step too far? Either way, Hollywood buzzing will be here for every moment of the drama.